golf park area first. And as you can see, I've started playing around with how I want to lay out. The idea is each dome section for the little round part will be the beginning and the end of a particular hole. So this is, in theory, this is one hole here. And so you would put your obstacles or whatever you want on the hole, and then down here somewhere would actually be the hole. And then once the players have played through the one, then they know to, okay, this is the second one. And then it'll have a curvy path, or however it's going to work. And then go to the next, and to the next, and to the next. And hopefully I'll get a full 9 out. And the idea is, for this here, this will be where they start, theoretically, if people... are these stones from the New Daily area? That's Kino is asking that. No, they are not. This is actually, I'll show you here. They are actually the makeshift bulletin board. Whoops, wrong direction. That I have just sized up, turned upside down, and sunk into the ground. It's a really, really, dare I say, clever use of this particular decor, but I've used this in a couple of older builds, and they make for great stone paths, and anything else that you want to add, some natural looking rock area. And you can turn them this way and that, and you can see that I've done that to kind of break the monotony of a little bit of it. The new stones, I've seen them. I haven't actually gotten a hold of any myself because I still lack the reputation to purchase them. But this is a good alternative for those that haven't yet visited the new area or obtained the eligibility to purchase them. And eventually, if I do, or when I get the reputation, then I'll probably add a few of those in just to break up the sameness, because I think they're a bit of a lighter color, a lighter gray. And of course the positioning of the stones in that particular decor piece is going to be different, so it'll help kind of jazz it up a little bit. Anyway, the idea is this is the entrance, and so they will follow a kind of guided path from hole to hole, and then the last one will end over here. That's the plan. It's always a plan, but you know, as with all plans, they don't necessarily go accordingly, but that's the idea. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to set out a stair. A handy dandy staircase. Now I don't know what other builders do for themselves. I've seen some use this, and others I'm not sure if they've ever thought about it, but I use stairs a lot for seeing a different view, because we don't have like, I've seen some people discuss like housing in other games where they have like a free movement kind of thing, where they can go anywhere and be able to see like way up high or from a distance, and see how the place looks a little different from up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of roughly lay out the beginning and end of all of the whole course, and get an idea better of like how many pieces it's going to take to span the entire land. I may decide that maybe it's better that I wall in this whole section to kind of reduce the size so that it's not completely just fill up the whole thing. Because I want to keep it either 9 or 18. 18 holes I think is a little ambitious and probably not likely due to the decor limit currently. But 9, with 9, depending on how long I make the little paths, 9 might be too few to fill up this entire area. Now, some of that might be remedied by like the hole is here, the green for the first hole is here, and I've got these rocks to kind of cordon it off a bit. Doesn't mean that another hole has to be directly here. Maybe I just have a large green area and the hole only goes along the edge or the edge and then off into the side, and this little area just stays empty, or I put trees or bushes or whatever to kind of break up the area even more. I could go that option just in the event that the 9 holes don't fill up this little patch of ground that I have. But that's why I'm going to kind of roughly lay out how I want it to kind of feel, and see just how much area I am left with to try and consider filling it in, or if there's going to be like too many gaps, if that makes sense. Because you can see right now I've used about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of these makeshift bulletin boards for their stones, and you can kind of get an idea what's going on, but it's still there's room for refining it, and as I progress it's going to be even more and more. And like I said, see, right now I'm sitting at 186. So think about that, 9 holes, and then all of this plus any of the obstacles and things that I add to it, plus any other details that I might, I think normally at a park there's like a little starter pad where you would like set your ball down, and that's where you would tee it off or whatever it's called. And if I include that, that's another piece, but multiplied by 9. And of course each hole, like I said, has a start and an end, but they also have the hole itself, which you have to have multiplied by 9. So it's little things, but they add up, and it gets kind of daunting as far as well, I want all of this detail to make it really look nifty, but then you don't want to compromise too much, because then you're left with an empty building over here. There's just the bare minimum of decoration so far, plus I still have the eatery area that I want to do, and there's other details and things I would probably like to do in the front area to kind of dress it up a little more. But it's just so many things I want to do, and ideas I have in my head that this would look great, and this would be nifty, and I should try this, and wouldn't it be cool? But you kind of have to just take it a little bit at a time to not overwhelm yourself with what's going on. So going to go through the slightly boring process of mapping out how this might line up. So what I'm currently using for the start and stop pads or markers or walkways or whatever you want to call them is the Orin dome, not dome. And see that this is an example of what I was talking about earlier. You can see that my owned is 1,999 of 2,000. That means I can only technically buy one more piece of decor. If I want to get anything else beyond that, I have to delete some existing stuff. Now, because I had a pretty extensive build before that had a lot of wall pieces and wooden pieces and wall pieces, I'll probably delete chunks of those. But this is what I mean by, I would really love an extra amount of storage to accommodate where I don't have to immediately start selling off things just to make room for new, if that makes sense. So for the time being, I probably won't be using any Granox style domes. And they're easy to obtain. You buy them straight from the housing vendor. So in my book, that's safe to remove. So I'm going to delete these 8 here. Yes, I want to destroy. And I'm going to purchase the orange style ones. I don't know exactly how many, I'm not going to calculate it out, so I'm just going to buy up to my limit. So now I have Decor owned 2000 or 2000, so we'll see where that gets us for now. And I'm just going to randomly place these out here. Don't know if I'm going to need them all or if I'm going to need more, but it gives me a starting area of where they could go. And of course they're going to be a lot bigger, so we'll see how that works. Okay, so first thing I usually do, if I've already got something set down that I like the size of it, then I'm typically, if I'm going to do another one similar, I just automatically start copying the transform. For me, maybe I'm doing it wrong, or it's just me, the thing doesn't want to agree with me, but the copy transform doesn't always work. Sometimes I'll copy something and I'll say paste to another item, and see how it landed right on the original. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes it'll go way over here. Why, I'm not sure. Or it won't move at all. It acts like it doesn't do anything. If that happens, the safest thing to do is just to cancel what you did, copy again, paste again, until it does like it's supposed to. Otherwise, you're liable to end up with a dome inside the wall that you don't know that you have there, and it counts as your decor placed, and then you discover, well, hey, why is this extra dome there that I don't even see? And you find out that you accidentally put it in the wall, which I had that happen yesterday. So just a little word of advice there. Just cancel and try again until it works like it's supposed to. Now, later I'll go in and do a little more refining on the placement and stuff, but since we're just kind of going with it right now just as a rough, we're just going to move along and see how we might want to space these out. Now I'm eyeballing about how long this one is, and I'm going to try and get the others to a similar length, I guess is the word. So maybe this one will be just a straight one, but maybe I make a hill on it so that the ball would have to go up and down the hill just to get into the hole, or maybe I put a water hazard in there, or some other kind of little thing to break up the boringness of a straight path. So we're going to put that one there, and then we'll copy it, paste it to the next one. Now I already know that this is supposed to be my end one, so I don't really want to put too much here yet. I'm mostly going to be stringing them out along the edge, I think. So we'll just move this one along this way. Feels like it's backwards what it should be. Now you see how it's disappearing. I'm going to have to up and back. Wrong way. Very bad. Very bad. See, they might not all be the exact same size, but one of the things with this kind of a build, it's kind of like, you know, they don't all have to be exactly the same. But I like having this one placed right here in the corner. It seems like a good way to kind of set that up. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 holes so far, theoretically. So now we'll copy this one, and we'll grab another one, paste, and then we'll reposition him. And God, so bad at this. Doop, doop. Probably should be moving these in accordance to the world, but if I do that, I'll just end up confusing myself even further, I think. Okay, so maybe that one goes to the other corner and fits it up nicely. You know, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to follow the straight edge here. Maybe I put some of the rocking here and it like curves out a little bit and loops back instead of going a straight line. So, you know, there's things you can do to kind of make it less robotic looking. Copy, paste. So maybe instead of putting this one directly in the corner, we'll bring it out a little bit. Whoops, this way. Put it right here, maybe. So how many are we at now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. So probably only need 4 of these. Now we know this is the end for the one, so maybe we'll have and I'm kind of looking about where I have the others and kind of spacing them out, not equally, but aesthetically, I guess is the word. Let's see, this way. Maybe back. No, wrong way. Ugh. Here we go. Right there. Okay, maybe one right about. Let's see, if I want that one here, I could just start there and maybe move this one back that way. So let's it's probably hard to follow along, but it's like yeah, so like it would start here and then maybe come back this way. And this one go here, but this one come there. Let's see, how many more do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need to put one more in there, I think. Let's send that one to create. And this one to create. We'll copy one final time. for this particular object. And let's pop him in here. Maybe we'll move him closer to the gate here. These seem a little crowded to me, so I'm checking where I want. Move this one more to that. Move this one a little further back. It's still away from the wall, but it's a little better space there. This one will push it to the side here. This one will move down. It still feels a little. This one here is bugging me. This feels open, more open than the rest. So maybe if I move this one further into the corner. Push this one a little further out and back. And this one just a bit this way. Yeah, that feels a little better. Okay, so now I need to lay out a rough pathing, which means spending some of my renown, because that's what these bulletin boards cost, is renown. Now I could here I've used, I think it's 4 pieces altogether just to make this one little strip. I could enlarge maybe this one here to span a little bit more of this area here, and then be able to move one of those into another part, just to kind of again, you know, considering the item limit, you want to use as few pieces as you can but still have essentially the same effect, the same look. But I'll worry about that as I spread these out a little more. So let's see, we need to buy, let me check, I'm pretty sure I don't have any. Yeah, need to buy. So these are 2,500 renown, and I have a fairly good little nest egg of renown to spend, but I don't want to go hog wild because I only want to spend what I actually need. So I'll probably only buy like 5 at a time, and then work with those 5 until I'm happy, and then I'll move on to another 5. But again, here we are. I can't buy anything new until I get rid of something old. So now I have to look through my crate to see what I'm willing to delete so that I can place something new and nifty. So here we've got these lovely Oran walls. I may end up buying some more down the road, but for now I think I'm safe in being able to get rid of these. Because at the moment in my head I don't have any specific use for them. And again, they're an easily accessible item because they're purchased directly from the housing vendor. So destroy, and that is done. So we'll go to the vendor and say I want some bulletin boards, and we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we will look about placing them a few at a time. Put down 2 to start. I don't like overcrowding my work area with too much because then it gets kind of confusing, and as you can probably tell, I'm easily confused. So I know this is like supposed to be the last hole, and I was thinking maybe since this is the end and this would be the start, I would like to kind of to curl it around, but I don't know if that's gonna visually work right unless I put some stone here, which you can see that I already have kind of a size picked out. If I make them too small, it'll look like, I don't know, it might not look right. So I'm thinking is that how I'm gonna work it? Maybe instead of going from here to here to here, we go from here to here to here, and then that would be in the way. Because you know, this could be the last one from here to here. Decisions, they're never easy. So I don't want this to be too narrow with a bunch of rocks on either side. Although I've got this fairly narrow here, so maybe that isn't an issue at all. Who knows? Not me. So yeah, let's put some rocks in. Copy, just to get the size similar. I may adjust sizing on a few of these. You know, I'll pick every other one. I might make a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger, just to again try to mix up the look of it. And if and when I do unlock the other stone decor, then I could throw those in place of a few of them and be able to use those somewhere else. But for now, we'll just try the stones that we have. So see, this is what I mean. Like, oops. Oh, there you go. Copied it right off of the thingy, didn't I? That's when you don't want to click, when you don't mean to. Let's see, how did I have that turned? No, the other way. Other way, other way. Okay. What I was going to say is, see how I've used 2 pieces here just to get that little bit. But I could technically just move this in to take up that space plus a little bit out this way, and thereby eliminate the need for 2 pieces here. Instead it's just one big one, and then I can use those 2 pieces on this part somewhere along, you know, somewhere else. So that is what I will see if I can get away with. You know, maybe I'll just leave it like that and have the extra rocky look. But I think we can get away with just the one piece for that particular section. Maybe see, you can't enlarge anymore, so that's the biggest this is gonna get. I can raise it up a bit, but then I think it looks a little awkward. So roughly. Hey, Lyral. I have a visitor. I like that they've changed it so that you don't experience the the lag involved when someone visits. Oh, look at her pet. It's so cute and creepy and very long. I didn't realize it had a big old tail that doesn't show up in the preview. Where's that one come from, Laurel? I'm sure I've read where it comes from, but it escapes me from the top of my head. Anyway, so I kind of like that. So that means I could probably get away with moving some of the smaller ones. So see, it's still relatively the same as it was, just a little wider there, which is okay. That gives me a little more leeway as far as maybe I want this one to be just a tiny bit bigger. And there, like so. And after I lay these down from this view, I'll go back in, of course, and check out how it feels on the ground. You know, maybe it's too narrow back here. You know, from my point of view at the moment, it looks fairly narrow, but when I go down there to have a closer look, maybe it's not so much, and I can leave it where it is. But if I have to make adjustments, I'll do so, and that's, you know, part of the building. It's a constant adjusting this and that, and you always want to, especially when it comes to like thin walls and you're putting something up against it and you push it close to it, you always want to check the other side, because maybe it's actually sticking out and you don't want that sticking out. So you have to constantly be checking the position of everything, and all the time. It's just something you should get in the habit of doing. If you don't do that on a regular basis, because you can get caught with having some weird stuff going on if you're not careful. I've seen that in some of the homes I've visited on the public listings, and while they might have a great layout and ideas and a lot of nifty items put together, it's things like stuff poking out that doesn't look like it's supposed to be poking out, and you're wondering what is that. Or like when you have two walls that are maybe overlapped slightly because, you know, out of necessity for some reason, and it flashes, the graphics flash, it vibrates a little bit. All it takes is just to offset it by like 0.01 from the original, and it will stop the flashing, and it just is it's a good habit to get into as far as checking things like that, because it really detracts from the visual prettiness of your build if there's a lot of flashing graphics and distorted bits and things poking out that looks like it was an accident or something's wrong with it. You know, if it's meant to poke out, that's one thing, but if it's really shouldn't be there, then, you know, do your best to hide it with another item or turn it so that it's not poking out as much. It's kind of like here, the hatch door is right about here somewhere, and if this floor here, the one that I'm standing on, if it was just a fraction lower than it is, you would see it poking up right here. There'd be like a dark gray little blob, and that's why this particular part of the building is up so much. And eventually I'll either put stones or some other kind of like pillars to cover this part. so that it's not like an eyesore like it is now. But you know, those are touches that you do more towards the end or as you're, you know, cleaning up things. So right now when you come into my plot, it's going to be very haphazard looking. And that's one of the things about the stream that in my practice streaming and the ones I do on Wednesday, is to kind of show people the process I go through, the thoughts I have, and the ridiculous amount of tinkering I spend doing these kind of builds, because typically I, in the past, kept my plot private when I worked on it. Primarily that was out of necessity, because like I said in the past, when people would come to visit your plot, there was an incredible amount of lag, and it would disturb, cause things to flash or to move, or you'd think you clicked on something and you actually hadn't, because the system was catching up with bringing in this new person. Now that doesn't happen, so it's not really a necessity to do that anymore. But in the past, when it was, I just got into the habit of working in private. I would close my my plot up so neighbors couldn't come, you know, nobody got to see, and I didn't even give sneak previews. I just waited until I felt fairly confident that I was done with whatever it was I was doing, and then I would open it up. And even after I opened, I would add things, little touches here and there as I came across decor that I didn't happen to have before that I wanted to use. But as a general rule, it was always private. Nobody got to see any kind of incomplete or half-done work. So this is like a new thing for me, actually showing the process of what I'm going through. It's a little nerve-wracking too, but it also, I'm sure it will help others that are looking into getting into the building, designing things that they normally wouldn't think would be possible. I know if there were others doing like me, and I've watched videos of some that have shown some things, but typically it's like, one, they don't talk a lot or explain why they're using this, or you know, showing what items they used. Like when they give a tour of their home, they don't say, well, this is, you know, this cabinet is actually, you know, 2x4s and flipped over posters, or you know, whatever. They don't really give any kind of clue as to what they're using, and that's okay. You know, maybe people don't want to share their little tricks of the trade, or how they come about their plans. But for me, I like knowing extra bits like that. You know, I like to know, well, how did they accomplish this? You know, I've never seen that decor piece before. Where does it come from? You know, is it cheap? Is it easy to get? Is it, you know, how big can it get? How small can you make it? What does the backside look like? You know, because there's a lot of items that you can use, and sometimes you use them in a way that you can't even tell what it was originally, because, you know, it's like these, it looks like just rocks, but it's really this huge bulletin board. It's got goofy lights on it and posters and stuff. And, you know, for someone that has a theme that would fit, that works great. But for me, I've never used it as it's intended to be used, as a bulletin board. To me, it looks like an eyesore, but that's just a personal preference on my part. But what I like is that I've been able to find, you know, other ways to use it, and the rocks is the best use of an item, that relatively easy to get. I mean, you have to grind up the renown to purchase it, however many you want, but these days there's so many quests and ways to earn, not quests, but ways to earn renown, like grouping with friends and doing housing challenges and things. It's not that big of a problem to work up enough, however much you need. but I like hearing other people say, well, this is what I used, and for all of the videos that are out there right now that cover housing, besides the how-tos, like I've seen a few tutorial ones that show you how to work the toolbar, what all the little different parts mean, and how they're used and the best way to use them. While I could go into that, I think there's enough of those out there, but I'm more into like giving my insight as far as like with planning a theme. You know, how does one go about doing that? First, I look at all the themes that I've seen in the public homes. I see a lot of bars. I see a lot of community type things like inns and taverns and space stations, a lot of ships. There's a ton of just general housing, like personal housing. Some of them have elements to other things, like that you'll have a main big house and then maybe they have a little bar to the side, but the primary focus is their home. And there's a lot of like municipal type buildings, you know, courthouses and libraries, museums, things like that. The ones, you know, those are great, especially if someone can pull it off, you know, nice and have a lot of detail, you know, like in the jail, you know, they've got the little barred doors and the little panels to lock them in, and the little bench with the little bucket and the pillow and everything. And those builds are great. But for me, I like trying to find things that you don't see that often. And that's more kind of a click kind of thing. Because I mean, like, usually the primary two reasons someone builds a specific kind of house is, one, they're building it for their character, like you know, just a regular home, or two, it's for some kind of a role play thing. Like that's why that we have a lot of bars and disco thingies and stuff like that, because it's a place that people want other people to visit and socialize. And for the role-playing community, that's housing is like a terrific way of being able to have a public event, but in a more controlled environment. That's why one of the things that a lot of role players have been asking for is more control over who is allowed on their plot, and having the option to remove someone that's causing trouble or some such. And then you have the smaller group, I think. You know, maybe it's not as small as I imagine it to be, but I think there's a small group, and I kind of include myself in that. We spend a great deal of time in the projects we make, but we're not like specifically focusing, hey, this is a plot where my character lives, or hey, this is a plot that I think the community will just, you know, adore, and they're going to come and spend all their time there. That said, this particular build is more along the lines of a possible roleplay aspect. I mean, it's going to be a kind of it's going to be a miniature golf park. So in theory, there could be a group of role players that say, hey, we're going to role play that we're going to the park to have a game of golf and just, you know, spend the day there. But I'm not necessarily specifically building it for them. I just like the concept of the theme, and I want to give it a try. If it gets used in that way, fantastic, but it's not like it'll be the end of my world. But generally speaking, there's a small group of people that just build something just to make it different. And like I have a guildmate that did one that is his rendition of Jurassic Park. And he calls it Jurassic Park to kind of go with his name. It's basically like the dinosaur thing in the movie. You know, he's got like a Tyrannosaurus Rex and all kinds of little critters running around, and there's a museum kind of thing, and the whole setup. And it's unique because, you know, there aren't any others like that around, and that's what I like most, is trying something that you don't see very often. Like, you know, you can have a regular home, but some have taken it a little beyond that and said, well, I want a farmhouse, and they'll have like they have the barnyard, you know, with the barn and the little corral where the critters are, and they'll use the plushies for all the little animals. Like I see the herd of WildStar a lot, and that just adds some uniqueness to their home as compared to all the regular other homes. And others stick with themes that are more geared toward their specific race. Like you'll find some that are full of nature-y decor. They've got, you know, forests and stuff, and it becomes clear pretty quick that they probably play an Orin. It's not always a given, but you just get that feeling just because of the choice of decor. In fact, I think it's Lyral that has the Mordesh house, and it's a very somber setting, not in a bad way. It's a really nice theme she has going on with it, and it works well, and you get the idea that, you know, it's a Mordesh home. And yes, I think there is some coffins there, but I think even without that, it would still, it just feels the lighting she chose, the music that plays when you're on her plot, the choices of decor, the tone, the color tones, it's all very, you know, grayish, moody looking kind of setting. And you know, she could have played an Orin, you know, she could have her Orin character that lives there, but it doesn't look like an Orin would live there. It looks like, you know, somebody that's kind of moody and somber and Mordeshy, I guess. But let's see, those are going that way. Let's see, how do I want that to turn? Maybe I'll bring this one in here. But yeah, for now, you know, it's just I like trying new things and building and right now I'm working on this, but you know, a month or two from now it's probably going to be something totally different, because you work an idea and you play around with the decor that that you think will suit the theme that you're working on best, and it's probably limited by what available decor we have, you know, because if someone's like, say they're building a garage for vehicles or something, they would have to make every vehicle that they might want to showcase there, because we just don't have little cars. We have spaceships, sure, but no like actual bikes and taxis or anything like that. So if they wanted it, they would have to make every single item. And one, your item limit again is an issue, but two, like building a taxi. Off the top of my head, I can't think of too many items that, well, taxi, you think yellow, the yellow cab. I can't think of off the top of my head too many yellow things other than the banana, the famous banana, that would work well. Like for instance, with the build that I did previously with Rapunzel's tower, the one that is represented by Disney's movie Tangled. In that, the tower was topped with a pointed purple-looking cap, a little roof. I tried my best to find a way to, kind of replicate that in game, and it was a complete fail because most of the purple pieces that I could find were like the pillows, the long purple pillows, the roll pillow. And one, it would just take an enormous amount of decor to stack it up and shape it right. But it just looked, I don't know, it looked forced, I guess is how I should say it. I was trying too hard to match it exactly. So I ended up just giving it an upgraded WildStar feel to get away with using domes and the rock for the main majority of the tower itself. But that's just things you have to think about when you're deciding what exactly you're going to use and what kind of theme you're going to go with. You have to accept that there's going to be some things you aren't going to be able to make and make it look effective. Because the last thing you want to do is build something and then people go, what is that? They don't get it right off the bat. You want to be able to put together something, they go, oh, that's a cool looking toilet. Yeah, we have a toilet decor in the game one. It's hulky and very unfriendly when it comes to thin walls if you want to hide some of it. But I've seen a lot of makeshift or custom built toilets, and they look like they came that way in the game. And I love that. But there are others that have put together what I assume they mean to be a toilet, and you don't quite, it's a bowl and a little back, but maybe it just looks like there's a bucket under a generator or something, and it doesn't quite come off like they want. So whenever you build something, a good way to check the credibility of what you're building is to have a friend or someone else come and have a look and give their opinion about, well, that doesn't quite look right, or maybe it needs this, or is that supposed to be like that, that kind of thing. Always bouncing off other people, their ideas, their opinions, their suggestions. You don't necessarily have to take it to heart, or to even accept it. If they say, well, it should be bigger, and you go, no, I'm not making it bigger, then don't make it bigger. No biggie. That's your choice. But if they say make it bigger and you think, maybe they have a point, it might show up a little better, then yeah, use the advice and you might be better for it. Like the sign I have in the front, I had a few guildies come and take a look, and they gave me advice. Maybe the spacing wasn't right, and they say, you might broaden the space here and make it a little narrower there and center it a little better, and that's helpful. That's a good way to get constructive criticism to improve what you're building. I've had some say, well, it might look better if you use this completely other different decor, like a wall, maybe. Like I used to, in the beginning when we had only 300 item limit, when I would make a wall, we already had wall decor in the game, but it was limited to the look of them. You know, it was either stone or metal or whatever. And I used 2x4s for a lot of mine. Same with the floors. That's fine and dandy, but it did eat up a lot of decor limit. And with 300, it was even more precious back then than it is now. So I had several people mention to me, you know, rather than using the individual 2x4s, you could get away with using like the divider walls, or using the back side of the posters or some of the pictures to give the effect that I wanted, but you know, a considerable amount less to get the same effect. And that kind of opened my eyes to you know, playing around with how you like with the rocks. We have the swirly rock, I think it's called. It's one individual stone, and you can size it pretty big and pretty small. If I wanted to make this path with just that one individual rock, that would be an enormous amount of decor used just to create the same look. And here I'm getting, you know, yeah, I'm using a lot of these bulletin boards, but it's by far fewer pieces than if I was to place each individual stone, sizing it, turning it, you know, all that. Yes, it would be wonderful if I could get into that much detail and be that specific about each and every stone placed, but not only would that be a great deal more effort on my part, but it would just be a mess, I think, fiddling around with that. And yeah, Liryl's reminded me that there's another set of stones in the new zone, which I haven't gotten access to yet, but I plan to check them out later. But yeah, they would, for those that either can't afford because they don't have the renown for these bulletin boards, or they just don't like the really big rock that's here for someone's stone pathway into their house. Maybe they just don't want that big stone. Maybe these are not as flat. It's a little bit of a more rough kind of stone layout. The little stones in the new zone that have been made available recently, I think they're a little bit more flatter, more uniform in how they look. They don't look like just a pile of rocks. They actually look like stepping stones, I think. Those would be more appealing. And from what I remember, I think they're fairly cheap, so you know, not a big strain on the pocketbook, which is always a plus. But yeah, I know people think that a lot of us just kind of throw things down and call it good, but there's a lot more that goes into it. And again, that's part of the reason why I'm aiming to do more of these kind of live streams, just to give people a little bit more insight into what goes on to pull one of these together. Of course, I'm a little slow today because I'm not used to talking. It sounds like I just blab all the time because I'm just rattling off here, but I don't want to have the stream just completely go silent for too long, so I'm trying to keep the chatter up, but it's a little hard for me to concentrate on that and to work at the same time. I'm not good at multitasking apparently, but you can kind of see where I'm going. I've got the 2, 3 lined out. This one will be 4. I'm thinking maybe string, you know, pull the rock here and have this one come this way, maybe. Pull this one back, I guess. Let's try this. And So far I'm at, let's see where I'm at now, 198, so we're almost at 200. It's scary because I'm so afraid I'm going to run out of decor to really put in all the detail that I would like. You know, I may have to sacrifice, you know, not get too detailed, but just really size things up so they, you know, maybe instead of using 2 pieces here, I'm going to have to try and knock that down to 1 piece for here and using one of those pieces somewhere else. Let's see, I've got this one that I covered up earlier, so let's pull that one out. See how it's blinking? That's what I mean by the overlap. When you have something right directly on top of something else, it blinks, so you have to kind of adjust the size a bit to accommodate the, oh man, I messed that up. To get it to quit blinking. No blinky. Blinky bad. Yeah, I think that's gonna work nice. I'm kind of seeing in my head, I'm sure it's not exactly clear to my viewers, but it's going to come together, I promise. Let's see, I'm gonna try and see what this looks like with 1 large bit instead of the 2. Because, you know, I'm already concerned about the limit getting hit too soon, and I want to save where I can. I don't want that to be too closed off, because then, you know, people are like, well, I can't put my ball through there. So now if I move this one off, is that going to look, let's see, I'm going to have to adjust that a little bit, but we'll fix that here shortly. Let's see. Copy, transform, transformers. No, not higher. Go the direction I want you to. There we go. Let's just turn you all the way around just for giggles. Okay, that's a little better. So let's see if I can. Maybe like so. Off that way, and then this one come around, maybe. Up. Yeah, so that one would come this way. Yeah. Okay, so we're getting there. It's kind of taking shape. I know it doesn't look like it too much, but it will work. Let's see. Let's turn this one a little bit this way. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's working a bit. We're going to put do we have any more? No, so we need to buy another 5. So I'm sure I will be using 5 at least. Now as I get closer to what I think is the end of this part, I will probably start buying them just one at a time until I'm comfortable because I don't want to, like I said, you know, while I've got a lot of renown to fiddle with, I don't want to just spend it willy-nilly. I only want to buy what I need. Put down a couple. Now I've been using the rather large size. I'm going to see about modifying the size up a little bit, just to kind of, I want it all to be huge. Quit going up. Okay, so far we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, working on number 5. So how do we want that to go? We want to bring it out this way and then bring these two this way, or want to here and then that one this way. I think it might be better to bring it this way and move this here. Maybe put a pile of rocks here and have another section here, you know, fill all this in with rock or mostly rock, and have it kind of like a little sort of U shape going. And then we can do an S shape here maybe. So have a little portion of rock here and then fill up the rest of this. Yeah, I think that'll work. So copy, paste, a lot of, see, this one I meant. There, why is it over here? I don't know why it does that sometimes. So cancel, and then, nope, see, now it completely disappeared. Now I don't know where it went. Like a kooky thing that it does. I will go and hunt for that later. So we'll just, well, I'll show you. The way I find my missing item is you have to go into your place decor list, which is a miserable little thing. And hunt for the one that is where it shouldn't be. And I think it might be the last one that was placed, but no, apparently not. So I don't know where that thing went. Oh, there it is. See, what is he doing over there? I don't know why it does that. It's a very, very odd little glitchy thing that happens sometimes, and you just have to be hopeful that it happens fewer times than it does, but it's just, I don't know why it happens like that. Anyway, let's try again. Copy, paste. And see, he's positioned different now. He just doesn't like getting copied, I guess. So let's try again, and we'll just leave him sitting where he is and see if that affects it any. See, now it works. I don't know what makes it do that, why it does that sometimes. I haven't changed any way I'm doing it. I'm doing the same every time, but sometimes it just goes a little wonky. It's a little annoying. It's not, you know, life-threatening or end of the world kind of stuff, but does make for some interesting situations. Let's see now, what was my plan? Like an S shape, I think I said. So we want this one maybe a little smaller, and we'll nest it over here somewhere. I may make it bigger, but for now, just to get a general idea of where things are going to go. We'll plop it right there. So now we got 3 more to go. I'll go ahead and put all 3 down. We'll risk it. And I'm determined to get this rock stuff settled. I'd like to see where that puts me on the core limit. So if we're going to have the S shape, that means we need this area blocked so that it kind of goes around like so. So we want like that maybe bigger. Then I'll have to put another one here to fill in the gap. But I'm going to see if I can get it big enough to kind of extend here to kind of block this off. So I did a copy, paste here. Like so. Okay, and then let's see, going around like that. So gonna need some rock along this side. Now, because it's rather large, you don't want this happening. You don't want the bits to pop through the other stuff. So I'm gonna have to definitely shrink this down a bit. Well, let's see. Let's try it. Just sinking it. So see if I can get rid of it that way. Yeah. See, that'll work. Well, that part won't, but you get the idea. Maybe if I turn it and move it. Yeah, so now we've got the little shape here. And later I'll check and make sure there's absolutely nothing of the rock. Population is low. Why? Because people need to get the word out. And that's part of why this stream is going, to help bring it to others' attention. Anyway, as I was saying, I'll take a closer look later to make sure there's absolutely none of that extra rock showing over here. But for now, that's generally where I would like it placed. So let's see. So I got the shape there, and I want this one to maybe curve along that way. So I'm gonna need another spot of rock in this bit here. So we'll go Let's see, I'm probably going to be able to use up another 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I don't, I'll find another way to use the rest of them. I will not let my monies go to waste. So we'll drop these off here again. Let's see, let's copy this one. Oh, why did he go over there? Strange, strange. But we'll go with it. We are not afraid of funny acting decor. Okay, so we kind of want it that way. Let's try turning this. Yeah, that looks good. Again, as I said, I'll double check on these, but for now it's just kind of a The Dark Dreams asking about population, saying he doesn't want to be alone when he plays. My suggestion, hook up with a guild. That's what I did, and there's people on all the time. You know, in World of Warcraft, I was in a guild, and it seemed like the primary time that they played was always in the evening. And yes, I play in the evening too, but being a housewife, I have a lot of free time during the day, probably more than I should, but I play pretty much all hours. And it always troubled me because every guild I was ever in World of Warcraft, I could never find a group of people that at least had similar hours. Oddly enough, you know, with all of the people complaining about population problems and everything, I have yet to have a problem with having guildmates online all the time. I can be on early in the morning, and there's always at least a few people on. Evenings, true, there's going to be a gargantuan amount more. That's just the way things work. People have jobs and family and other obligations outside of the game. But I've been very pleased with, you know, just earlier I was out questing and there was people running around. It's not like there were hundreds. The other day there was, but that's partly because there was a actual world event going on, but partly because it was drop day. So, but generally speaking, I come across people in open world all the time. You know, it appears vacant here, but that's because it's my plot and I've only got it open for neighbors. And generally speaking, folks know I'm building, so they don't want to come disturb too much. They keep to themselves on that part. But if I was to ask, hey, could I have some guildies come over? There's quite a few online right now, so it would be no problem with having them drop by. But you know, if you find that you're playing and you're all the time alone, yeah, sure, you could blame the population for part of that, but part of it is, you know, did you make an effort to join a guild? Have you talked in chat? You know, I've come across people randomly, and there's no problem with, you know, getting groups for like a 5-man or 3-man boss. I've never had trouble with that. And I've been playing since beta, so I've seen the game community and population and all of that fluctuate in all spectrums. And I think at this point in time, the game is in a far better state than it has been so far, and I only see it improving. So, you know, people will have their opinions just like I have mine, but I don't chalk into the doom and gloom kind of vision. I don't see it like that. I have only high expectations, and I can only see it going up There's only yeah, there's room for improvement, but every game has that. You know, there's going to be pros and cons. There's going to be things you like, you don't like, and of course, I'm coming from a point of view that housing is my end game. It's my passion in WildStar, and that is primarily a kind of a solo activity because, you know, yeah, I could give other people roommate access, but you know, I don't want them touching it. You know, I want to do it through my vision, and so yeah, I'm comfortable with. But when I'm ready to go out questing, and or like my guild raids every week, we have no issue with that. I mean, there's plenty of people that, you know, are actively interested in doing those things. We do PvP activities. We have a large amount of role-play activities. The role-playing community is really in good shape. It's can be better, yeah. I think it would be great if they could do more community-wide events. I think for the most part, most of the role-play activities and such, and even the raiding and the dungeoning, is happening within the guilds. That's why I say, if you're alone, or you find like, you know, you don't see anybody, join a guild. Find one that's suitable for you, and then, you know, go with them, because a lot of the community is guild oriented. You find those that have the same play hours, the same interests. You know, maybe they don't you know, strictly play WildStar, maybe they play other games too, and you know, that's part of joining like a gaming community. The guild that I'm in is strictly WildStar. I'm sure some of our members play other games, but it's not like joining a gaming community. It's a WildStar guild. So, you know, but you know, that's all I can say. You know, try a guild. There's plenty of recruitment pages, and I see them advertising all the time, not just in the forums, but in the chat. People looking for new members. Most of them are willing to accept newcomers, those that are returning, those that need catch up, those that have absolutely no idea how to play. They're willing to take them in and show them the ropes. And you know, you don't find that as regularly, I think, in other places. Most of the time, people have been playing for so many years, they just expect you to know it right off the bat, and if you screw up once, you're out. You know, and that's not the mentality here that I've seen, that I've witnessed. So. But yeah, Kinu agrees with me. You know, if you want the interaction with people, you can't just expect it to fall in your lap. You also need to take part in the responsibility of actively going in search of it and finding it, and you will, if you give a little effort. Okay, so where was I? Sorry, get distracted and start mouthing off, and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so still doing the rocks. The angry rocks. Okay, where'd they go this time? Oh, there they are. Way over there. Let's get you over here. I think it's to do with the hatch house. It's located right about here, and for some reason the positioning and directional tools sometimes get a little weird. I haven't noticed that the direction itself is actually flipping out like it used to. I think they've actually fixed that, but I think the copy-paste mode in this area is still a little off. Like I said, it's not like a horrible thing. It's a slight inconvenience, but I guess it adds to the excitement of housing. Call it extreme housing. Click it and you don't know where it's going to go. Ooh. Okay. I'm just going to leave that there for now. If you notice, there's like, you know, there's going to be gaps and little it's not like I'm specifically aiming to completely cover the non-golf holes bits with stone. I very well will likely come in with plants and bushes and trees and stuff and insert those into strategic locations and try to liven it up a bit so it's not just one big flat area. You know, there's, you know, maybe the palm tree things that I have out front. If I get a hold of any more of those razor bushes, I may include a few of those here to carry the theme through the plot and not just keep it limited to the front. But you know, that's something to look into later. Like I said, right now I'm just kind of trying to get a general quickie, but layout of how the holes are gonna land. So like there's gonna probably be a good gap here, but I'm not necessarily gonna fill it in with stone. I like the curve of that, so that's gonna work nice. I think I'll add a patch of rock here and hopefully like bring it in here, and then that way this will be kind of like snaky too, because you really don't want to leave too many of these just straight, or I don't want to. I think that's part of the fun of a golf park. There's a little bit of like snaky feel to it, you know. You see you're going from hole to hole and it's not just one boring little strip. So we'll have this one come here, so I need a bit of rock there. So we'll copy. Phantom rock, just don't know where it's gonna pop up. Well. Wrong way. We're gonna size this down just a touch. And let's see, I want the flatter edge to come here, so. And again, this is going to be a little tricky because, you know, I don't want it showing through on the platform there. Slide that down just a little bit more, and then I'm going to sink it some. No, not that much. Too much. Let's see. A little more. Yeah, I'm going to have to change that a little bit too. Okay, let's see, let's fix this a little bit. I'm not going to get too detaily because, yeah, that'll work. Okay, so that's kind of okay. Got the little snaky bit, but now I need to cut this one off. I think it's gonna cut off right about here. So I'm gonna put some rock right about in that spot. That's my goal. Let's see how that turns out. So got two currently eligible to be used, so we'll go with those first. Let's see, take this one, maybe that one would squirrel off for me. Yay, it worked. Let's see. Okay, so now I need to leave a gap here for this hole, but I want this one, so something. I always have a hard time seeing that blue arrow. Something like that. Still got a little room to give, so we'll just sneak it in a little bit more. Yeah, I think that'll work. So, you know, it'll come up here. I'm probably going to, you know, like, I don't know, maybe the hole would be here, so that they would be forced to, you know, play the whole all the way to the end. I may add a bit of stone here if I'm not too stretched on decor limit, but I think it's coming together, sort of. Let's see, that one there. Okay, so now let's see how we got this. That one there. So I may have a bit of rock here to kind of split the two. Pardon me, let's see. That one, and so this is going to be like a really short one. So this one, you know, maybe I'd give it a really hard kind of hazard. I have no idea what, but you know, that's part of the thing about hey Pops. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do, but like part of the planning and going into one of these builds, I do a lot of research prior. I probably spend way too much time doing that, but that's part of my method. Is I Google up images, and I have like a whole library of images that I collect. I've looked up like entrances and lobbies and layouts of how actual real miniature golf parks have been set up, and of course I've collected a ton of images on the different kinds of hazards. Like a favorite is the windmill. What I would love is if I could find a decor piece that could simulate the windmill kind of effect in some way. I know we have a few rotating items, like I think there's a protostar energy thingy or whatever. It's got like a hook and it goes around, but it's probably not going to be exactly to my liking. So a lot of my what I would wish to be moving hazards will be actually stationary, but hopefully, you know, people can use their imaginations and say, yeah, that would be a cool kind of a hazard on a golf course. Let's see, how do I want to set this in? Smaller. Turn it maybe. Whoops, that's the wrong button. To here. There we little up, just so that the division is clear and no mistake about it. That's one hole, and then this is the start of the next one. So the last one is going to be kind of like this. So I'm going to need a bit of rock here for sure to kind of narrow this up a bit. And then probably a bit of rock here. So something that can fit into this little blobby spot right here. This one will be kind of a short one, but like I said, I'll try and figure out a difficult setup. Another popular, besides the windmill, I think another one is like the alligator, where the mouth goes open and closed and the hole is inside his mouth. I've seen a lot of those on some of the websites. And then, you know, I considered like what kind of theme I would use. If I would like do only fairy tale themes, or if I would do like only like world sites like Eiffel Tower, Big Ben, things like that. And while that might be cool if I could actually pull it off, I don't think I could find consistently the right decor to pull off every single one that I might could incorporate into it. So I'm probably going to stick with more general types of decorations for the holes, like the windmill kind of thing, and you can see that I've already been kind of considering like a stone setup, maybe having several of these but flip them so that the hole is in different, you know, and while the person doesn't have to necessarily make it through that little gap, you know, maybe they hit it and the ball hits that and bounces around or goes through, and if it does go through, maybe it makes it go directly into the hole, you know, at the end, who knows. But I've been looking at, I've got a list somewhere on my desk here of all of the animated decor that I might could utilize in fashioning up some actually moving parts for some of the hazards. And just as a reference for myself, I think I'll need 2 more. And we'll see, you know, if I can manage to use those in a way that it looks like it's purposeful and not just kind of trashed and slapped together kind of way. I like to keep my stuff as neat as, you know, it doesn't look neat now, but I try to, you know, not just put something there just to put it there. Like, I have tons of plushies, but I don't put them in every build I do. A lot of people like to have their plushie collections like in their bedroom or on a wall in the living room or something, so that they can put every single plushie that they own, you know, even multiples. Or like the travel posters, you know, you'll go in and you can almost guarantee that there's going to be a wall with tons of posters all lined up. And that's great. It shows that they've, you know, gone through the trouble of finding all of them. But for me, I don't want to just put them out just for the purpose of putting them out. I want them to have a reason why they're there. And it's not that I think that the others don't have a reason. Yeah, they have a reason they want to show their, but I think you get what I mean. Is like, just because I have all 50 plushies doesn't mean I want to put them out in a build like this. To me, it doesn't seem suitable. Now, if I happen to have one of the holes that requires an animal, like say the alligator, we have the gar, I think is what it's called. If I wanted to try and fashion it so that it looks like the gar has his mouth open and the hole is in his mouth, it's a totally different thing. But I don't want to just plant them everywhere just to have them there. So let's see. Probably I need to make that smaller. We don't want to eat up too much of the green. We want to leave some green there. We're just trying to give a little shape it up. And for some, they might have wondered, you know, they might wonder, why did you decide to make it like this? Why not go completely flat ground and then build on top of that? I considered it, but I like the idea of having the bit of the hilliness. You know, it's kind of hard to, I removed all of the flower clutter. I didn't want the big tall flowers, so I removed the clutter off of the ground here. But but I like this part here. It's not going to be fully green because of the way the pattern works. But you know, that might work to my advantage anyway, because maybe I could throw in like especially here, I could add in something to simulate water, and that could be like a little water hazard that they have to supposedly try to avoid. And so it'd be like a beach, you know, a transition for the water to go in. And you know, I'll probably think of other excuses as to why, you know, it's not completely green. But I definitely wanted to go with the green, and I think, let's see, the ground. Yeah, I currently have the Wilder Run selected, and of course I've got the ground clutter with the, you know, the flowers and the grass that is a little tall. I've got that turned off so that it's a smooth grass. If you see, come in close, it's flat, but it's also got, you know, you can tell by when I move things around, there's, you know, it's sunk in on one side, but there's a little bit of a curve to it. And for me, that kind of simulates, you know, a little bit of a golf coursey thing. I know in reality, a lot of miniature golf courses, it's like an AstroTurf. It's just a flat kind of a grass or whatever. But you know, since we don't really have anything like that looks like grass, that's smooth and flat, that could blend well with the grass that's already here. I just figured it was better to just kind of go with what's here and leave it at that. So let's see, I need to put one more piece here somehow. So we'll slap that in right here. We do have grass items, and I thought maybe I could get away with using that on top of some flat, like the orange floors or something. But the way the grass is made, and because it's like one direction, so if you're looking at it from one perspective, it looks like you can see every gap between the lines of grass. If you're looking at it from the other section, it looks like a solid piece of grass. So it would be kind of iffy depending on how your camera's looking, whether the grass looked natural or not. Plus, the sizing, like I said, when you resize something larger or smaller, when it's smaller, the grass looks a little better because it's more tight and confined, and it looks smoother, especially when you got several pieces overlapping each other. But when you enlarge it, those gaps between the lines of grass, they're like huge, and the grass height is like super tall, because it's like many times I'll go to a plot and they've got grass to try and make it look overgrown and stuff, and I'll step up into it and I lose my character because the grass is like twice my height in game. It's like, You know, it's slightly unrealistic and a little bit troublesome because then you can't see anything, you can't tell where you're going. And of course, you know, that's their prerogative if they want to, you know, put all that high grass on there. But for me, using the grass decor for this particular project, I didn't think it would work well. So I chose not to, let's see, I actually want to expand that a little past, oops, not that way. Make it bigger. Let's see. I'm probably gonna have to get another bulletin board because that's just not sitting like I want it as one piece. I'm too picky. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put one more right here. So. Back to the vendor, grab one more, flop her down. Let's see, did I copy? I'm so easily distracted. That's true in real life too. I'm one of those kind of people that can walk into a room with a particular idea of I need to do this or that, get distracted by something and completely forget why I walked into the room in the first place. I'm very bad about that. Okay, so that ended up being a fairly long haul, but that's okay. And this one's shorter. I could move this a bit. That's one option. Let's yeah. Not particularly fond of having those because it's starting to look a little. Do you see how it's like 2, 2, 2? But maybe that's not such a bad thing, you know. It's one way to go about it. Okay, so now that I come up with 9, that's the big question. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Sort of. Okay, so there's that. That's a general, very, very general outline of how I think the golf holes will be set up.